Yesterday, we did the all breakout team. Today, the all bust team with Dave Richard here. Dave, don't take it personally that you're getting busted, not breakouts, but let's find out.
I'm fine with it. I'm actually pretty good at predicting busts.
Let's find out who's on Dave's all bust team right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. All right, we got a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. So the first one's interesting because you're maybe getting cold feet, or is this just an ADP thing? Who's your quarterback on the all bust team?
It's a combination of ADP and cold feet on Brock Purdy. Just the fact that he's a top 90 pick. Given the situation right now in San Francisco, we don't know when left tackle Trent Williams is going to be back. We don't know when Brandon Ayuk is going to be back. So I might pause my excitement on Brock Purdy. And when I say excitement, I mean quarterback who might average 22 fantasy points per game. And that's fine, but it's not somebody that I look at and say, okay, he could actually take a step forward this year, be closer to 25 fantasy points per game. I think I'm going to sort of hedge the bet there. I went back and I looked. There were 2 games last year without Trent Williams playing. He didn't do any better than 20.4 fantasy points. That's in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. However, it also has to be noted that there was no Deebo Samuel for those games either.
He was horrible in those games, but yeah, no Deebo. And
no Deebo, no Trent Williams, and a lot of interceptions for Brock Purdy in those matchups. So it was really a weird, specific situation. Point is this: there are a lot of quarterbacks that you can make the case for who have a lot of upside. You can include Tua in that list. Caleb Williams is included in that list. We like Jaden Daniels a lot. Other quarterbacks that are veterans you can make the case for. So you don't have to necessarily reach for Brock Purdy while the situation is murky in San Francisco. In fact, I think you could probably draft him as your number 2 QB. And if everything works out in San Francisco, you've got a guy you might be able to trade for something in the middle of the season.
I'm Goff over Purdy now.
Goff is another one of those safe floor quarterbacks, but I feel like his floor is at 20 and not 22. But Purdy's floor is 22 per game when everybody's there. So that's the difference, and I could see why Goff could be ahead of Purdy.
What's this comment all about? I wonder if Adam is on this list. That's not cool. Am I your?
No, Adam is on my breakout list every show.
This one, Nico should be on this list. That's an interesting one. We'll see. All right, let's go to the running backs. Running backs for Dave. On your all bust list are Devon Achane and Joe Mixon, whose ADP on CBS is stunning, Dave.
28.1. I think he's more of a round 4 pick. And we've talked about drafting him as a round 4 pick. He's been a round 4 pick for us. So I don't get where this is coming from. Early round 3 for Joe Mixon. There are other running backs in our ADP who I like better than Joe Mixon, and Mixon's going at 28. It's 28.5, excuse me. But behind him, Rachaad White, happily would rather have him. Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker's ADP is 37.9. That's the first pick in round 4. I would take him in late round 2 in non-PPR and really close to the end of round 2, probably early round 3 in full PPR for Kenneth Walker. So I feel like we're drafting Mixon, or we're seeing Mixon being drafted based on name recognition. We're kind of overlooking the fact of where he is, which is in Houston, which I think is going to be a team that continues to evolve into a pass-friendly team. And that's something that I think helps Nico Collins. Doesn't necessarily make him a bust candidate, but I do not like Joe Mixon at 28.5. That's early round 3.
Yeah, I like Mixon, but I always see him in round 4. So I guess I haven't been doing enough drafts with.
Sure, that's a surprising one. When I saw that, I had to add him to the list. You want to talk about Achane?
Yes, I do.
So I've been to 4 Dolphins practices this August, and all 4 times I saw Raheem Mostert working ahead of Achane in drills. That includes the 2-minute offense. That includes short yardage. I'm a little bit nervous that Mostert will take away significant work from Achane. And even if Mostert misses time, I've seen a lot of great flashes from Jalen Wright. Point being, this is a Dolphins offense. Their philosophy with running backs is to use 2 guys at all times. And so Achane may never have a consistent high volume role. And I know what his upside is, and last year was great. A lot of that production, Heath is the first one to point it out. Shout out to Heath. It came in blowout situations. So Dolphins win big, Dolphins lose big. Achane got a lot of work. I don't think that's going to necessarily be the case. I think he'll get a decent amount of work and probably an uptick in targets too. But I have a hard time seeing him going in late round 2, early round 3. He is a feast or famine type of wide receiver, a feast or famine type of running back who I think fantasy managers should kind of avoid in that range. I think he's closer to mid to late round 3.
All right, let's take a break here on Fantasy Football Today Express. Also address the controversy here. I wonder if Adam is on this list. It was actually supposed to be Adams. So that's that made me smile. I appreciate
That's good.
Let's take a break and we'll talk about wide receivers and tight ends and a flex on the all bust team from Dave. We'll be right back. All right, sir. Who are your 2 wide receivers on the all bust team?
So, do you want to address the guy that we talked about before the break, or do you want to just go with the guys that I gave you?
I mean, yeah. First, the guys that you gave us.
All right. So, for my rankings, don't identify a lot of busts based on ADP at wide receiver. So I don't like this about my rankings, but they're in line with what our ADP is, which I mean, look, it's the site I work for. People might pay attention. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about Michael Pittman being as good as he was last year. That's probably the ADP that I have the most trouble with. I think I'm about 10 spots behind ADP on Michael Pittman. And it's because Anthony Richardson's the quarterback. Last year, Richardson averaged 8 targets per game, which you kind of have to project a little bit because he didn't finish a lot of games. I think that was in the games that he actually started and finished with Pittman, so small sample size. But 8 targets per game, that's not bad, but it didn't lead to a high catch rate. And we know that when the Colts get inside the 5, it's going to be running. It's going to be Richardson. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor. Pittman's been allergic to the end zone pretty much his entire career. He does not get a lot of red zone targets. Last year he did, but they came with Gardner Minshew, not with Anthony Richardson. Furthermore, this is an offense that when we see them play at the beginning of the season, we did not see this last season when Richardson was there. Taylor's been in the backfield. Adonai Mitchell was added to the receiving core. I think he can make plays for them. And they use a bunch of tight ends from game to game as well. So I am nervous about the target volume being anywhere close to where it was last year, which was double digits for Michael Pittman. I'm passing on him, and I'm passing on Waddle, who does have one good year north of 15 PPR points per game, but already missed 2 weeks of training camp with an injury. I'm worried about the injuries lingering for him this year. And last year, he didn't have a single game north of 15 PPR points when Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane were on the field. And it makes me just feel like if you take him based on upside, I get it, but I think his upside is tied to Tyreek Hill. And furthermore, there have been 30 games in the Mike McDaniel era where we've seen Tua, Waddle, and Hill. Only 8 times have both receivers had at least 15 PPR points in those 30 games from Tua Tagovailoa. So I think Waddle in late round 2, every time I see it, I kind of do the SMH because I don't understand the rationale for it.
But he's not. But Waddle in late round 2. Well, yeah, I know. Like Jamie takes him there, but ADP, he's.
I don't think he should be taken in round 3, and the ADP is closer to where I have him ranked.
47th.
Stay close to that ADP if you're going to draft Jalen Waddle.
Okay. I wouldn't go into your draft thinking I'm going to get Jalen Waddle 47th overall. Which is, hey, if you listen to Dave, then just don't take him. That's fine. I don't think he's going to make it in most drafts quite that far. You know, I don't know. Is the 3-4 turn okay for Jalen Waddle?
I think the 3-4 turn would be the absolute earliest I would consider it, but even that feels a little too rich.
My only issue here is like you got 2 guys on your bust list who are on the Dolphins, and they're going to score a lot of points. They could lead the NFL in scoring. I'll say they'll probably be top 5. So that's going to help them, overcome a lack of touches or a lack of targets.
If those guys get those opportunities, then sure.
Yeah. Okay. Waddle and Pittman. And you know what, Dave? I don't think we have time to discuss. Was it Adams we were going to talk about or Nico?
We were going to talk about Adam, and really, he's short, the curly hair. He's basically in his 40s.
Oh, a haircut today. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, no, Devontae Adams, long story short, I'm okay with him because I think he'll have good volume. I know everybody's nervous about the quarterbacks. His quarterback stunk last year, and he began the season red hot. He ended the season red hot. In between, there were some real quarterback issues in Las Vegas. I don't mind taking him with the expectation that he gets around 16 PPR points per game. Totally fine with his ADP. I do not think he is a bust.
All right, let's got to wrap this up here. Who's your tight end? And who's your tight end?
Talked a lot about Kyle Pitts this offseason, and I'm still not sold on him. His ADP is also starting to creep down to where I have him ranked, but still going a little bit too soon. We've seen him go at the 6-7 turn. I'm not a believer that he's suddenly going to break out in his 4th season just because Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. Cousins will target him, and those throws will be better than what he got from Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, and an old Matt Ryan. But I don't know if I can say that he's definitively going to have a smash hit season, because I've seen him practice. He doesn't look super explosive like he did when he was a rookie. And I think Drake London and other players in that offense will garner significant target share from Kyle Pitts.
And the flex on the all bust team.
It's another running back. I really couldn't find a third receiver. So I went with DeAndre Swift, who I think is another player that's going at least 10 spots higher than I'd be willing to go. I like that he's in Chicago. That's going to be a fun offense. I don't like that he's going to share carries. I don't think he's going to play on passing downs. I don't like that he's in another situation where he's with a quarterback that's going to steal short yardage goal line touchdowns. I don't think it'll be as huge of a deal in Chicago than it was like last year in Philadelphia. And this is a Bears offense that should throw the ball a little bit more. Look at those receivers. I'd be stunned if they became a running team that leaned heavily on DeAndre Swift. And I still have a little bit of questions about the offensive line in general. So Swift is someone who week to week is an RB2. I guess he's fine, but I don't like where he's getting drafted. I could find other running backs I like better.
Yeah, one of the things I'm really curious to see is how much Khalil Herbert gets used. He was used so much in the preseason, which is not necessarily a good thing, but what happens week one, that's a fascinating team to follow. So thank you, Dave Richard. The all-bust team, there it is. Purdy, Achane, Mixon, Pittman, Waddle, Pitts, and Swift. This is based mostly on average draft position, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today Express.